Welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is Bittersweet Birthday. Someone does have a fancy hankering for alliteration, it seems. Anyway, putting that aside, Bittersweet Birthday is a boss fight only action adventure where every encounter is unique and emotional showdown. Explore a colorful world full of enduring characters. Uncover your memories and battle your way through challenges that push skill, timing, and determination to their limits. So that's only partially accurate. Yes, it is a boss fight only action adventure type title. Very kinetic action. Some people have compared this to like a Souls-like. No. This is very much in the Devil May Cry, Bayonetta school of like spectacle fighters, only with 2D pixel art. But that's only part of the truth, because I'm going to note these words: boss fight only. Yes, every encounter you get into is a unique encounter. Sometimes they have multiple stages, like a boss would. Sometimes they're like kind of sectioned off.
The other game I've heard of that said it was boss fights only was Fury.
Yeah, I've seen Fury entered into this conversation as well. But it's like that still doesn't actually convey what Bittersweet Birthday is, because it's part that and part visual novel. Combined with mini games and some interstitial sections combined with some of the worst video game tropes we've seen in modern gaming. I think it's apparent which parts of the game I didn't like. But yeah. So once again, going back to that whole every encounter is a boss fight, that means there aren't that many confrontations in the game. And you will be spending literal hours dealing with the story, a lot of text, doing fetch quests, doing side quests, collecting things, that kind of thing, in between all the battles. So if you're actually looking for the combat, I can't recommend this game. It's too parsed out. And I have seen some negative Steam reviews echoing that sentiment. It's unfortunate, but it is something I have to mention. Because, yeah, it's selling itself on the combat sensibilities when that's a really small part of the game. Important, sure, but it's not like your traditional video game where you have hundreds and thousands of mooks sometimes, and you gotta battle those on your way to a boss. Nope, it being boss only means boss only. So I guess consider it a quantity versus quality argument, but I suppose to further stipulate, how is the quality here? So that's another thing I had a bit of an issue with, because the combat's fine, it's good, but it's nothing special. If I had to choose between this game and Fury in a battle of indie spectacle fighter contests, I'm picking Fury. That just had better, more dynamic combat. Like I said, it's not bad here. It's just it never felt like it got out of first gear. And even when it added additional mechanics, like the parry, the parry wasn't too good. It was fine, but it's a parry. It's a mechanic that's been very well explored in modern times. And it's just kind of part of the arsenal. Really, I found dodging to be the better, mechanic in terms of defense. Like, mind you, that it actually comes up in conversation when you're learning to train for the parry. Like, so getting back to the other side of the gestalt of the game. Yeah, so I call it a visual novel in the sense that there's a lot of story that's text heavy, no voices here. And you're going to be doing a lot of reading. So if that's not what you're looking for, yeah, once again, don't get this game. It's it's a unique combination that stands out, but kind of been the narrative, or at least quasi-narrative this season. We have a game that's doing some interesting things of a particular flavor that's definitely going to have a specific appeal, which isn't too surprising since, our games, typically come from the indie circuit. So they're going to be strange and wonderful creations, if not a bit haphazard. Especially when it's like the developer's first game, as is the case, as I understand it, with Bittersweet Birthday here. And you can really tell that because let me get back to the worst part of the game, at least that I encountered. I like to call them the interstitial moments, because without revealing too much, you are dealing with a two-world scenario. I didn't get too far into the game to where I learned what was going on behind that. Unfortunately, this week, not only did the other game take up a lot more time than I was expecting, certain events happened this week that kind of drained the time. Ugh. But that's beyond the scope of the review. The point is, like, in order to break up the, let's call it the town sections, we have the facility sections. Because, when you initially wake up, you're in a facility. But after a certain amount of time, after certain events, you get transposed to a village. And you will go back and forth between the two areas. And in order to make sure that the factory, facility, whatever, underground base, like, it's not too, once again, it's not too defined as what it is in the beginning. But the point is, it's a very dull gray series of corridors for the most part. Like, and in order to make sure they had actual gameplay here, well, the first time was, hey, let's have a very simple indie horror game trope fest. Like, and if you don't know what that is, very simply, we have an unkillable monster that you can't defend against. Better hide in the lockers. It's literally that. Only really, really easy and trivial. No, but the part where I had to stop because I ran out of time was forced stealth section. It was like, I guess it wasn't presented that way, but in terms of the gameplay mechanics, it was basically, you had to sneak around, not alerting the enemies, or if you did, you had to run away. And forced stealth sections in games that don't focus on stealth are still as shitty as they were 20 to 25 years ago. It's like they can call it by another name, but I know a shitty stealth section when I see it and when I play it. I was force-fed that a lot in the early 2000s. Thank you, Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell. Like, anyway, but aside from that, yeah, I did enjoy this game, and I can tell that I did because I am disappointed I did not get to learn more about the narrative. It is definitely the most gripping thing about the game. So if you're not like that is the thing I would say you would be most invested in, because once again the combat, it's too spread out for its own good. The other, some of the other gameplay segments are mini games, literal mini games, like the rock paper scissors fighting game. Once again, that's a side thing um, at best. Um, so if the narrative doesn't grab you, once again, I suggest um, looking elsewhere. And yeah, and Petty here is engaging with the first boss encounter with a being known as Rock. Like, and shifting away from the story and such, the graphics are most impressive. Um, Coming to us with a very um, detailed modern day pixel art is the best way I can put it, because I hope you can tell the primary influence at a glance, but if you can't, it rhymes with Undertale. I mean, Undertale casts a long shadow over this game overall. But I can definitely see why this also hasn't become the next Undertale.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but putting that aside, it's like you especially saw the detailed scenes in the beginning, the cut scenes. So the art team here, they're definitely one to watch. Like, should they pursue more games? Soundtrack, once again, it's okay. Definitely less memorable than some other indie games. Like, and yeah, I think that's a good summation of the overall framework. Now, the combat is augmented with what they call memories. Those are essentially boosts or skulls for you Halo fans, because you can equip things that will like recharge your hit points after what they call a perfect dodge. Or there's one provided you in the beginning, which nullifies all attacks to 1 hit point. Also, you can't really die in this game. You have a fail state that just starts you over and doesn't even remove progress. So you can eventually brute force things. That's what happened with the cultists.
When the start over happens, does the boss even still lose like HP or whatever, or do you start boss fights over?
I didn't lose to a true boss. It was just that fucking mosh pit. And that continued like normal. So I have to suppose that that is the case for all fights. Like, or it's going to restart at the first phase,
Right.
or second phase. That kind
Whatever
of thing.
phase you left off at.
Yeah. The point is that can also make this game too easy for some people, because there are, I don't want to call them masochists, but there are people who think it is unfair to have boss checkpoints. Yeah, I'm not one of those people. Like, if you give me a long boss fight with phases, I don't want to fight the first phase over. It's like, I've always been of the camp that I hate lost work.
Right.
That I am somebody who does not believe that save scumming actually exists. But I suppose that's a more
What do you mean that it actually exists?
as in when you save a lot, that detracts from the challenge.
Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. You know, it's like, fuck you. Don't tell me how I'm going to play my games.
Right.
You know, but putting such philosophical discussions aside, this game can be seen on the easy side of combat because it's so generous with its fail states. I'm like, I guess it's like, once again, this game isn't going for challenge. It's not really shooting to be either Dark Souls or Devil May Cry or Fury. Like, the combat sessions, while good, are a means to an end. And the end is the character and narrative, which are pretty good.
Mm.
And that is definitely how I would describe this game overall. Pretty good. Maybe a bit of a rough gem. Certainly an undiscovered one. This is definitely a game that should have more buzz on it, but doesn't. Whatever reason that is, I couldn't tell you. Too many games, not notable enough. It's like, pick one. It's probably just as valid as another. But that's beside the point, and that is the pricing. So how much does this game cost? It's a bit of a weird price in that it's coming in at $18, $17.99 USD. Like, once again, I'm used to this kind of game coming in at like $15 or $20 exactly. Or, the 99s, rounding up 1 cent.
Mm-hmm.
Point is, it's a bit of an unusual price. Maybe there for Steam sales purposes, whatever. As far as $18 goes, I would say track down the demo. But the thing is, the demo here is actually kind of hard to reach. Because, like, Petty had to find it on itch.io. And weirdly enough, not provided by the publisher. The publisher had a demo up, but that's been taken away. The developer put up a demo that's still available. And just looking at the footage here, it's still accurate enough where, yeah, you're gonna get a good taste of at least the combat. Maybe not so much of the story, because the story just unfolds over the course of the game, and the game is built out of mysteries upon mysteries upon mysteries. Like, you don't know who you are, you don't know where you are, you don't know why your birthday was so bittersweet, you don't know who your attackers are, you don't know who the mysterious voice named Ada is, you don't know shit about shit. And those are the things that will gradually unfold. That's the real selling point here. If that sounds interesting to you, I would say buy this game without a second thought. Elsewise, try before you buy or wait for a sale.
Yeah.
Petty, you've been playing the game. What are your impressions?
I think it's fine.
That's a good nutshell for it, I think.
I guess a note for the developer or publisher: put the demo back up on Steam, because that is very much of a sticking point for some people, is having to look somewhere else for the demo.
Yeah.
Like, if the demo exists and is like official, it should be on Steam.
Yeah. Like, it's like I said, it's a weird situation. I don't like. It's one of those things where I'd literally have to ask either a rep from Dangan or somebody from World Eater.
Right.
So, Anyway, Gallix, is there anything you wish to ask?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, so yeah, that'll about do it for Bittersweet Birthday here. Be sure to tune in after the break as Petty Fan reviews War Torn.